Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're out here in San Francisco. We're currently on Treasure Island, which is really nice. We're on the other side of the bay because I want to photograph the skyline. And what we're doing is we're doing our bracketed or 5 bracket shots, -2, -1, or neutral, +1, and then +2. I'm shooting at f11. My first few shots was about f16. And then I'm shooting at 5500 Kelvin because we have clear skies and the light right now is just phenomenal and beautiful. So check this out. So what I'm looking at trying to get is we have this bay going to San Francisco, right? The Bay Bridge. Over there, that bridge is the Golden Gate Bridge. But my main focus is this bridge. So I want to capture the star trails, or not the star trails, the car trails as they're going across the bridge. But I also want to capture all of the city lights when it lights up. The idea is to then take all of these photos. We'll go into Photoshop and I'll show you a technique on how we can blend in the light from the cars in the city to our golden hour, blue hour shot. And that way we can now create a very unique and interesting photo, because we're not, you know, this type of photo is not one that I can just, you set up, you take one shot. It doesn't work out like that. And what you have to do is you have to take multiple shots, so that way you can then blend it together to make a photo sandwich, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and shoot through the rest of golden hour as it's starting to finish up, and then shoot my blue hour shots, and I'll see you when the lights come on. All right, you guys, so the sun is finally starting to set. We're about to transition to blue hour, but let's check out the city lights right now. This is awesome. They're starting to light up, and we're starting to get some of that city night life. Check this out. So we can see the lights on the bridge are finally on, and over here we have Salesforce, which is the big building, and all of the lights are starting to finally come on. So we got maybe another 5-10 minutes, and what we're doing is we'll keep shooting through golden hour, then we'll shoot through our blue hour, and then we'll transition from doing our bracketed shots to a single shot, so that way we can make sure we get the light trails that we want. So we're hoping to go for 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and 30 seconds, so that way we have options and we have a variety, okay? This allows us to then, when we go back to process or photo, to decide, okay, well, I like these car trails better than these, or vice versa, right? It's the same way with water, because this isn't just going to affect, you know, when I do a long exposure, it's not going to be just the bridge, but it's also going to be the water itself that's moving, the trees are going to be moving. So we have to be cognitive of what it is that we're trying to create. And in this case, we're trying to capture this beautiful sunset with the skyline, kind of like what we did with Haleakala and the skyline of Denver and Chicago, right? We want to make sure we have that beautiful transition. So hopefully you like this, and I will see you at my post-production when we take all of this, we put it in capture one, and then we blend it together to create a beautiful photography sandwich of this entire scene, which I'm really excited to put together. Alright, so here we are back at our computer, and today this is, you know, we were in San Francisco shooting at the Bay Bridge leading into San Francisco, and this was our 15-second exposure shot, and this is one of our early hour shots. Now, when we were on site, we were talking about how we are going to blend this together. And actually we got lucky enough that I didn't need to. This is the final image with everything that there is, but we only needed to use specifically one image. So let's hop over here to capture one. Right, so here we are in capture one, and these are the photos that I ended up selecting for this shoot. So we're capturing our HDR because we have the beautiful colors up here in the sky, but we're dealing with extreme highlights and extreme shadows. So in this case, right, we have color in the foreground and in these trees, but the sky is blown out right here due to it being overexposed. And that's why we try and composite to essentially make it so -2, -1, or neutral. And that's all I ended up taking, because something that I realized when we look at these trees, right, I actually like them darker, because yes, we could bring in the green and stuff like that, but they're slightly off due to the wind moving. And we can see that like right here when we zoom in. Oop, too much, right? We can see how there's a slight movement within the trees. And so blending that together, I really did not want to do. I mean, I could have, but I actually like how this is dark. And so we ended up just shooting this. This is the last probably a couple of minutes of golden hour coming into blue hour. And this actually kind of worked out. So we shot it at 15th of a second, f11 at 57 millimeter. The trees aren't moving, which is good, but we have beautiful streaking, and we have the city lights, we have the car trails, we have everything that we want. And so this was mainly the photo that I worked with. So let's hop back over to Photoshop. Now, I'm still going to show you what I was talking about on site, how to blend in a dark scene with a light scene. And so here I have both the photos imported. This is our dark scene with, our dark scene with all of the lights. And then this is our earlier scene. And one of the things to notice is if we look at the earlier scene, looking at the skyline of San Francisco, you have this foggy haze that's coming all over, right? We have all of this haze that's happening. And then when we turn it, the time forward, and we're coming into, blue hour time, the end of gold hour into blue hour, we can see a lot of that fog is kind of going away. You have a little bit back here in the background, which is okay, but it's not all right here. You can see over here at the stadium, right, we have a little bit of fog right here at the baseball stadium, and that's okay. So how do we blend this together? Well, it's super simple. The easiest way is option one is we're going to turn on the dark layer, and right here you can go from normal and you can change how it looks. So in this case, lighten is the way that you would normally go. You could also do soft light, which also looks really well, right? Because we're getting the crisp buildings, but all it's doing is just pulling the light. So let's move into Salesforce, right? And we can see the before, and then how that really allows the buildings to pop, right? And all we're doing is just bringing in the light. So there's no shifting, there's no pixel shifting or anything like that. It's just adding in the light that was already there. And that's one way you can do it. And even then, like how that looks really good as a blend. And you can play around with it. You can do hard light, right? Now that makes it even more impactful, right? Because now we're getting that solid light. We still have the dark trees, but all we're doing is just pulling in all of the lights to essentially blend, right? We have the beautiful blue within the Salesforce and all of these beautiful lights. And this is the before, this is the after. And that's all I'm doing is changing that. Another way you could blend this together, which makes things a little bit more complicated, is using layer mask and luminosity masks. So let's change this back to normal. Let's add a dark mask. right? And then you could go in, you know, hit B and grab your stylus, make sure your opacity is at 100%, and if you wanted to, you can paint that in. The challenge with painting that in and doing it manually is that you're bringing this picture in, and that's not what we're wanting to do. We don't want this picture to be on this picture. So we're going to go ahead and delete this layer. We want the lights, and that's why, just delete that mask. There we go. We just want the lights, and that's why, you know, coming over here to light in, overlay, soft light, hard light, vivid light, right? All of this is going to change how your picture looks. And even the, you know, the hard light versus the soft light, you know, there's subtleties between them, right? If we go with hard light, we're getting some magenta up here in the sky. We're really accentuating that orange. And, you know, a little cleanup, like the first thing that I do is I always start with cleanup. So like we have a pixel spot there. We can clean up these buoys and anything that we didn't like or don't want, and then come in. And let's do selective color. So we really want to bring down some of these red and yellows. So let's see what we could do. How can we, you know, that's bringing them up too much, right? We could even cool them off if we need to, or warm them up, right? That's also going to change how it looks. Red, yellow, bring down the yellows. Now we're getting somewhere, right? Pulling that back a little bit. And just essentially work our way down. Crowns. We can see a little change. Let's go darker because it's changing right here in the upper sky, right? We can see how that's changing just slightly. Crowns can come down. Blues. There we go. Now we're really seeing a huge impact with the blue, especially right here in the Salesforce tower. You can really see that blue change. So let's go about right there. And then magenta, because we do have some magenta right here, right? And even in the water. So darker is better because we are getting these leading lines from the towers, which you can also get those to pop by doing dodging and burning, right? And then of course I always do a little bit of black, right? So we went from that to that. And even already this photo is looking a lot better because of how we're blending it together. And you can just keep going from there, right? There's a good photographer named Steven. So this is him, this is his work. And what he likes to do is time blends. He's taken hundreds of thousands of photos in one spot from a location, and then he is blending it all together. And he started doing this project with National Geographic, working out in, you know, collective areas and stuff. Nope, not who I want. Here we go. Right, here we go. You know, this is his bio, but he would sit in one place, and he's very good at doing these time blends from sunrise to sunset. And I mean, he's done beautiful work, especially with National Geographic, but he'll spend a lot of time in areas trying to do this because this is unique. This is something you don't get with film, you know. How do you get all of this time in one film shot, right? Because film is a multiple series of single shot photos moving at once, right? And this is something that is unique. This is something you can't really do when you're shooting, you know, videos. And so he created a very beautiful niche concept idea where he's essentially doing a long time blend of the areas, so that way it creates a unique perspective. You're seeing all of these animals that you wouldn't normally see. You know, you got the elephants, you got the zebras, you know, you have the islands with the puffins, you have New York, you have, you know, these lavender fields, right, where people are out picking lavender flowers and stuff like that. But it's all the same. It's all timed base, where he's shooting sunrise to sunset, and he blends it all together. And you know, that's a challenge, but that's essentially what we are doing. We're doing the exact same thing. We're making a photo sandwich. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing that. I think that's a great way of being able to be creative, to allow yourself to push yourself to do unique and awesome things. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Here soon, we're going to start talking about how to make a portfolio book, which I'm very excited about. We're getting ready to do that, and I'm excited to go on the journey with you. So if you enjoy this, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.